A brother in mourning, a nation in pain, a president attempting to stop the violence. After 7 days of unrest in over 100 cities and thousands arrested, President Trump today addressed the nation.
All Americans were rightly sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd.
That speech happening moments after protesters were tear-gassed just outside the White House. The president began by acknowledging the death of George Floyd at the hands of police officers.
My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain.
But quickly turned forceful.
As we speak, I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily armed soldiers, military personnel, and law enforcement officers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property.
What we did not hear tonight was a path forward for this deeply divided nation. Cameras scrambled as he and several members of his staff walked over to St. John's Church across the street, a Bible in his hand.
We have a great country. That's my thoughts.
Then posing for photos with 5 others, including Attorney General William Barr.
We have the greatest country in the world. Thank you very much, everybody.
That was a stunt. That was a photo op. He brandished a Bible like a starlet with a fancy purse on the catwalk.
It was a peaceful demonstration. They were expressing themselves. The president wasn't happy. He literally walked over to a church to hold up a Bible. And they were charged and tear gas used to clear him out so the president could go there and take a photo.
ABC's Martha Raddatz was on the ground.
It's about 8 p.m. now. Curfew has been underway since 7 p.m. here, but protesters are still going up and down the street surrounding the White House.
We're out here because we're frustrated. We're sick of not having our voices heard. We're sick of being treated like second-class citizens in a country that our ancestors built.
All of this following a call with the nation's governors this morning, and angry President Trump railing on state leaders, telling them they must, quote, dominate over the protest.
If you don't dominate, you're wasting your time. They're going to run over you. You're going to look like a bunch of jerks.
Under Donald Trump, we've seen a ratcheting up of pushing law enforcement to be more brutal, use excessive force. He has told law enforcement in his own words to hurt people, right? And what we know are those people are mostly black people.
The president receiving instantaneous praise from those on the right on Twitter. But at least one Republican governor, Charlie Baker, broke ranks to condemn the president's response.
At so many times during these past several weeks, when the country needed compassion and leadership the most, it was simply nowhere to be found. Instead, we got bitterness, combativeness, and self-interest.
More than 1,000 miles away in Minneapolis, Terrence Floyd taking the steps no little brother should ever have to take.
I want to pay my respects for my brother. I want to be able to just connect spiritually with him in that space. Just to be in his presence one last time.
Take your time, Terrence.
Terrence struggling to find his footing as he approached the makeshift memorial for his brother, George Floyd.
Come on. I'm still a little numb about it, you know, because just looking at it and seeing it all over social media and just coming to the realization and actually that's my brother.
When he reached the street where his brother took his last breaths 1 week ago today, the sounds of grief.
Don't forget to breathe.
Thank you.
Then Terrence asking his brother for strength.
I need you and Pops to watch over me. I know you got me. I know what you want.
1, 2, 3. Drink some water?
What's his name?
Standing before the crowd to deliver a message, his voice once again strong.
If I'm not over here wilding out, if I'm not over here blowing up stuff, if I'm not over here messing up my community, then what are y'all doing? Because that's not going to bring my brother back at all. Let's stop thinking that our voice don't matter. That's right. And vote. There you go.
Those are the people who want deep and profound change. They want a new leadership, both at the local level and the national, and they want their families and communities to be safe.
Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors knows the suffering of black families all too well. Her own brother allegedly assaulted by police. She says she's been fighting for justice for too long.
They're asking for accountability. They want to see the arrest of all the officers involved. They want to have no more terror, no more police terror in their communities. We barely get a sorry, we rarely get accountability, and we never get change. So what are people to do?
His cause of death medically was mechanical asphyxiation.
This afternoon, Floyd family attorneys announcing the results of an independent autopsy contradicted the state's preliminary finding. Last Friday, Derek Chauvin was charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter, becoming the first white officer in Minnesota to be criminally prosecuted in the death of a black civilian. The three remaining officers have not been charged.
I want to see all of them get punished to the full extent for what they did to my brother.
Terrence told my colleague Alex Perez what he would like to see happen.
Is third degree enough?
No.
You want first degree?
Yes.
As Floyd's family seeks solace, his body returns to his hometown of Houston, and a nation searching for answers. Earlier tonight, I spoke with Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors. So, Ms. Cullors, first question, what are your thoughts on what President Trump said tonight?
What he said tonight was disturbing and dangerous. And with that, I think, it's time for him to resign. I think we cannot wait for November. Folks want him out.
Well, I'd imagine most would say it's highly unlikely he's going to resign. But he is the leader of the free world. How do his words impact the purpose of your movement and what you're trying to accomplish?
I think when Trump says things like the local protesters are domestic terrorists, it reminds me of when Black Lives Matter was called terrorists, where I was called a terrorist and our other BLM members were called terrorists. This is very dangerous language, and especially under this president who has galvanized white nationalists and white racists in this country, white supremacists. This is dangerous rhetoric that really does impact the people on the ground, and it impacts our broader movement as well.
With that said, how concerned are you about the looters and the lawbreakers hijacking the movement, what you so deeply want to accomplish?
I think it's not so black and white, so I want us to be careful of that. It's a question that I've received over and over again in the media. I'm more interested in the question of police violence, police terror. It's the reason why we're on the streets. We're protesting against police terror. That's what these protests are about. And I think we need to have a conversation about why are law enforcement taking a knee in one media take, and then the next they are beating protesters. They are pepper spraying them. Rarely am I hearing media anchors ask, why are police being the aggressors at protests? That's what our concern is, and we need to get back to the message. This is a fight for Black life.
Well, it would seem there will be many questions to ask and many nights to ask them. Patrisse Cullors, thank you so very much for your time. We wish you continued grace. Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.